Hi guys, I'm Mike from Agility Fleet, and today we've been given the e-Transit from lovely guys at Motors Commercials up at Hales Owen. This is the electric version. It's the Trend, it's the L3H2, 68 kilowatts. It's the 184 PS. There is a slightly larger power version, 269 I believe, but today we've got the 184. What can we say about Ford? Leading commercial vehicle for decades now. Even again this year, I think early registrations for this Ford were way ahead of anybody else across the UK. And to be fair, since the facelift about 2 years ago, it still looks very similar in that sense. It's just obviously with electric evolution, plastic grills now at the front, which you would get now on commercials or cars, is the same across most vehicles that are on the electric or EV platform. Just a quick, easy access for your charging as well. Pops out, there's your little charging ports, it just clips back in. There we go, move around to the side of the vehicle as well. As I say, this is the H2, so lovely smooth lines, not as square as it used to be, as mentioned, since the facelift a couple of years ago that Ford introduced. But again, it looks literally the same. You wouldn't know it was the electric, obviously, until you hear it. It's because it looks exactly the same as what the ICE vehicle looks like and does in that respect. Typical offside low sliding side load door, which is standard obviously on most vehicles now. And then moving around to the back of the vehicle. As mentioned, we've got the L2 height, so it's still nice, easy, accessible. Doors opening, also to the full 180 as well, if you do need a little bit more space and a little bit more access. So the rear of the vehicle, obviously where most of the practicality for all commercial customers are intrigued by it and need to know. As mentioned, built on the similar, in terms of its shape, etc., to the actual ICE vehicle. Load length L3, so you've still got 3.5 meters, so 3,533 mil in load length, which is, I think, pretty much matches identically the ICE vehicle as well. You've also got your load height at 1653 and then width into 153, so 1.5, just over 1.5 meters height. So obviously getting anything through is actually parameters, which again, I'm pretty sure marries up to the ICE vehicle as well. So if you're familiar with your Transit, you've pretty much got your dimensions that you've always needed to utilise in need, or if you are carrying tall, wide goods, it pretty much sits in the same position. Obviously, the battery is sitting under the floor, as most electric vehicles platforms obviously work. We do wonder at what point do we get one that's maybe bigger, but with the weight, probably it takes away the payload, which obviously is a big thing. Payload as well, puts up to, I think, just over 1.5 ton, if I'm correct in saying that. I think it's 1.7 and get in the back, which is fantastic, really. Again, whether that works out with Ford and really the actual practicality when it's fully loaded, in terms of obviously the charge, so your mileage on your charge on the battery as well. We've not had a chance obviously to fully load it and test it. It'd be great to have that opportunity, but again, we'll touch on mileage a little bit later on in that sense. In terms of other little features, I say it is the Ford Trend spec, so LED lights internally as well for you. Already as standard, you get your little eyelets for these tie downs, etc. I think there's about 9 or 10 across the floor and around by the wheel arches as well for you. And also you get your plastic tray on the Trend. So again, ply lining is optional if you want to get the sides protected, which we know most people do, but Ford have been quite good for a few years now on their commercials, offering the plastic tray option rather than just the ply floor, which I think does work quite well in terms of if you are carrying maybe things that might spill or liquids that can obviously a little bit of residue, so easily wipe downable or just easily hosing down as well for you. So into the cab. Ford, let's be honest, and it's not in disrespect, it's a commercial vehicle, it's for practicality, but I say a cab's a cab in that respect, but it's in terms of its practicality, it's really done a good job from Ford, I think. There's so much storage space, literally from right across the dash, with also a 12-volt charging point and also a little USB-C port at the top as well, if you do need an extra sort of charging port for anything. Also, as you can see from the sides, another holding tray, glove box is standard, drinks holder in the passenger. There's also a little tray at the bottom of the door for you, another document holder here. We also have, again, another drinks holder in the middle for you, just underneath the gear shift. We do have the drop down little table, document holder as well, with 2 more cup holders as well if you do need them. And again, on this side, I've got one just to the right on the top of the dash, one in the middle. That probably is not best for the cups down there, but also I've got one in the door. So there's plenty of options here for people storing documents, etc., or if it's, you know, a bit of tools or gloves, etc. So plenty of space to store different things for you. You've also got, again, another 12-volt option on the front, as much as there is one on the top for you. For, again, just for practicality uses. Ford are really thinking about this. We're making it as easy as possible for people to use. In terms of the vehicle itself, standard dial dash on there as well, but again, why should you expect anything less or anything more, sorry. Also your steering wheel, simple hands-free calling as well, volume up and down and menu scrolling options. You scroll through on the screen. Also your volume control, mute, and also your speed limiter as well, with a simple toggle switch up and down to obviously reduce and increase the speeds. Just light, simple toggle switch on the right, little dial switch. It's auto lights as well, so again, most of the time now you won't have to touch them in that respect. Also, the seat comes with a little rake adjuster, which is quite a nice little feature, a little dial you can just spin, and obviously your standard little bit of adjustment in terms of the height adjustment. Obviously we are in the cab as well, so there's not much adjustment on the actual lumbar element, but we always take that as it is. And obviously, of course, a little bit of movement in terms of your seating position forwards and backwards. Coming back to really what I said a few moments ago, it's a cab in a commercial vehicle, so you know it's never going to have too many frills, too many nice finishing touches, but it's really practical. It's a nice modern look, I think. Ford also, when they did the facelift, as we touched on, on the outside of the vehicle, they also started to implement a lot of the screens as well for the navigation, etc. I think some people initially was a bit like up and down whether they liked it or not, as with a tag on, but again, I can't really see why a manufacturer is going to tag it, utilise a full, you know, interface screen within the whole dash. So you know, I can fully understand practicality, and it does the job. It's very clear to see. You know, you're not obstructed anyway for looking when you're driving in that respect. The Sync 4 option is there, obviously with Ford. I used it myself to sync my phone when we picked up the vehicle to bring it into us. Easy sync on the phone, really nicely used. The maps was really easy to use as well. It's got a lovely touch, to be fair. No lag, nice simple touches to navigate through, and it's fairly straightforward as well in terms of usability and user friendly. It's nothing really too complex about where you need to go. Nice subtleties with arrows to pull things across, etc., and take you back to different screens. As you can see, it does also come with Apple CarPlay, which, as we all know, that's probably where the industry is going to lead to eventually across every manufacturer, from what we hear in this sort of the grumblings of the industry. Preference for me, I use that. I've just synced this just in a few moments ago. Apple CarPlay, you know, I'm sure if you use it, you know how easy it works. It's the same across all manufacturers, all vehicles. So if you're familiar with it, you'll just be able to crack on. The only thing that we did kind of think was a little bit odd, and this may be down to us, we've only had it for a few hours really, is that most screens do come with the Apple CarPlay across the full screen. This does sit, it seems, only as a 3/4 option. So again, please tell us in the comments if you know, if there is an option to blow that out. But again, that's pretty down to user preference and how you tend to like it and what you tend to use and what you look at most days. Obviously, with it being electric as well, Ford are moving forward with a bit of the tech. So automatic little gear dial at the front in the centre dash, sorry. Simple, just dial, choose the gear, and off you go. And also your settings you can see on the bottom of the screen for your heated seats, climate control, just as of the obviously where the blowers are coming through to, and also your aircon situation as well. You do also have some heated mirrors on this option on the Trend, which again is all electronic rather than manual. So how does it drive? Let's be honest, all electric vehicles really just have a really smooth feel to them, in my opinion. Really responsive, direct torque as always. Obviously, direct drive from the battery, from the wheel. So you know, it does move really well. It drives well. It's really smooth, as mentioned. Even the road noise is not too bad at all. The one thing that I did notice, and again, just driving vans is not something I do every day, but it's something I've done just through my career. Is I'm sure you've all had the same problem. Is that, you know, trying to pull out of maybe a road in quite a hurry, for example, and in that first gear into seconds, or we can be a little bit sort of short and sharp. One thing I just noticed yesterday was doing the same thing, just pulled off straight away, and it was those little things that you kind of already notice when you're actually driving the vehicle. But it was a nice little feature, a bit of made the driving experience a bit easier for yourself and not as taxing. So that was a nice little option. I guess the basis to all of this as well is what will it do on the mileage. Now, WLTP testing, if you read all the brochures on the Ford websites, 166 to 196, I think they state, within those test environments. We've spoken to the guys at Otis and who are running this for a few months now, and they're getting about 135 out of it. So, and again, that's with no payload. So it gives you an idea of kind of understanding of where that currently probably sits in a real life scenario. Again, if we had some payload, it would be interesting to see what those real life stats would be. It's on cruise control as we speak at the moment. Really nice, easy to set up as we touched on earlier on. But again, you can't really go too wrong with electric vehicles at the moment in terms of a drive. Nice and smooth, nice and simple. You're just basically a passenger to a certain degree, as long as you're obviously doing the steering. But can't really fault it. So we've just been on the road for the last sort of 20 minutes or so. And it's an easy drive. I mean, again, it'd be interesting to see how it would feel with some payload in terms of obviously how it pulls away, etc. But again, I think with the direct torque it has, I don't think that would be a problem, and probably noticeable maybe if you were pushing the limit in terms of its full payload. But I think generally it's a nice little van, nice feature in terms of how it actually drives. But again, I think it is a feature across all electric vehicles in my opinion. If you do have any questions or queries, want to lease the van, the Ford Transit E, please give us a call. Also, you can send us an email and we can do a free audit for you as well.